Merci beaucoup, les photographes.
Thank you very much to the photographers. Welcome to the press conference on graduation by Cristian Mungiu. I would like to introduce our guests.
Tout va bien? Merci. Au bout de la table,
at the far end of the table, the young Marius, Raresh, Andrici.
À côté de lui,
next to him,
Eliza,
Maria Dragus.
Son beau visage ne vous est pas inconnu.
I'm sure you're familiar with her beautiful face. She was Chiara in the 2009 Golden Palm, the white ribbon by Michael Haneke.
À côté de moi,
next to me,
à côté de moi,
Sandra,
Malina Manovici.
Manovici.
À côté d'elle,
next to her, the doctor,
Romeo
Aldea,
Adrian
Titien. And in the middle of the table, he's very faithful to Cannes, and Cannes is faithful to him. His first feature film, West, was at the director's fortnight. His second feature film, the stunning 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days, got the Golden Palm in 2007. And in 2012, Beyond the Hills got the prize for Best Screenplay and also Best Actress award for Christina Fleuren and Cosmina Stratton. Cristian Mungiu. I will put my first question to him. Can we say that the graduation is not just a Romanian tale, but a universal one? I hope indeed it is universal. People have asked me a lot of questions about that. I don't think it's a film on Romania only. I try to make films on human nature, moral dilemmas that people may encounter in a given point in their lives. I talk about people from my generation. This is one of the most important problems. You need to know how you're going to bring up your children, what ethical values you're going to give them. It's very important, this, in Romania. You have to take a decision. That's probably the most important decision you'll be taking for your children. You have to decide what you're going to do with your children, what advice to give them, to stay or to leave. We were born during the communist era. We struggled, we fought to change things. But people say, well, how many generations should be sacrificed for a given country? It's hard when you're talking to your children to find the right answer. I'd like to talk to the doctor who is very, very present in the film, who has a lot of worries and concerns, and who tries to manage the situation. I'd like to know how you got the part, how were things explained to you, and what was it like playing this character?
I have 2 children.
This is why I got Adrian. He has 2 children.
That's a good answer. A little more, maybe.
And they are 17 and 16. Not every day, but in many situations, it's necessary to take some decisions very important for my life and for their life. I don't know if it was very close to me, this role, but I think I can understood the issues and difficulties for this parent. That's it.
Oui, mais aussi pour vivre ce rôle,
Yes, but
il reste,
when
le docteur reste toujours
he plays this part,
dans la
the
bonne volonté,
doctor
c'est-à-dire qu'il
is
n'a pas
always
le
full of
sentiment
goodwill.
de
One never has the impression
enfreindre la loi et de
that
passer de
he's
l'autre côté
breaking the
de
law.
la barrière. Et ça, je veux dire, c'est important à
That's
jouer.
important.
Toujours
You
dans la
needed to
générosité,
show
dans
that you
l'amour,
were
dans la
always
compassion.
generous and full of love for your daughter. That's what you show on the screen.
I think it's very necessary to be full of love and optimistic in this kind of situation, because our values, parents' values, sometimes is against the society values. And I think that only the love and full optimistic mood can move the things
Yes.
further. I don't know if it's my nature, but I'm an optimistic person, and I love very much my children and also Maria.
We can understand that. Question là.
Bonjour, Arnaud Schwartz.
Arnold Schwartz, I work for La Croix.
Merci pour votre film, absolument
Thank you for your very beautiful film.
extrêmement bien maîtrisé
It's
et remarquablement interprété.
a masterpiece and
Une
very
question,
well
il y a des
played
choses très graves
by
de la
the
vie qui se passent
actors.
dans ce film.
Very serious things
Beaucoup de
happen
tension,
in this
jamais
film.
de
There's a lot
colère,
of
en tout cas de
tension,
colère
but never
exprimée. C'est-à-dire que
is
toutes
there
les scènes
any anger
pourraient
actually
virer en
expressed.
hystérie,
All
vous
the
les traitez
scenes,
de
which
manière
could
au
become
contraire
hysterical,
extrêmement retenue.
are
Est-ce
dealt
que vous pouvez
with
nous donner
great
quelques points
restraint in the
d'éclairage
film.
par rapport à
Could you
ça?
please talk to us about that?
En français ou en anglais?
In French or in English?
Comme vous voulez.
I will answer in English to this one. First of all, I think that there's something in my nature about these moments. And also, I wanted to speak a little bit about the level of aggressivity that we feel in that society, that we experience in that society. You know that whenever you live in a place where things are not yet settled, you feel that there's a whole bunch of feelings that you feel among you for most of the people who feel disappointed about what happened. But I never wanted to let these things pass to the characters. It's really important that the characters express whatever they express always because of the love that they feel for one another. And I really wanted to design this character of Romeo in the film as a character that apparently always does things because he loves his daughter, because we always believe that in the name of affection for somebody we can do whatever. The problem is that at some point, if what you do contradicts what you say to your children, you start having a moral problem. But I was working with Adrian and with Maria, and we were trying to have different levels of expression for those scenes that you mentioned. And it always felt for me that whenever we were having them very calm and very close and very gentle, they were close to how I experience, the characters when I was writing them.
Je voudrais compléter cette question.
I'd like to round off this question.
Le seul moment où le
The
docteur
only time when the doctor breaks down is the marvelously dramatic scene when he's in the woods. He's probably looking for the dog he hit with his car. That's the only time when he lets his emotions run free. And he's all alone in that scene. He doesn't do that when he's with his daughter.
Mais je veux pas exactement dire parce que
With the cinema, it's difficult to show what people are feeling deep within themselves. Some people may think he's there because he's looking for the dog, but it's not the dog who's important. There are times in life when you sense that most of the important things have already happened. And what you want is to have some hope for your children. We always try as a parent to be strong, but even as parents we have weaker moments, and I wanted to show one of those weaker moments in the film. So this moment isn't really linked to the dog. It's one of these weaker moments because he's confronted with so many events in his life. I'd also like to talk with Eliza. Eliza is torn between her father and her mother. How did Cristian Mungiu explain the part to you? How did you slip into the shoes of the character?
No problem.
I'm very nervous.
Actually, you know, it's a very universal story for me. It is very universal because I didn't grow up in Romania, so the things that my parents really raised me in the spirit of the Romanian culture, but there's certain things that you can't know if you never grew up, that if you never lived in the country. So I really approached that character from inside, and I think Cristian, he really encouraged me to go deep into the character and to explore sides, different sides, as he also said. We tried different things and on set also, and I really enjoyed playing Eliza because I felt free to really be the daughter, and in different situations and in a very big variety of feelings.
Yes.
And that was really great because you don't get that opportunity every day, and Cristian really made a gift to me with this role, so I'm very grateful.
Jeffrey Wells, Hollywood Elsewhere. Question for Cristian. I was wondering if you could try to describe or evaluate in your own realm and in the realm of filmmaking the differences that you have noticed between what would classic hard corruption or rank corruption versus soft corruption.
But I don't know, do you really think that the difference between hard and soft corruption is just a difference of quantity? This is the problem. I hope that the film speaks about how if you tolerate great corruption, or as you say, important corruption, you won't notice when you use the small compromise in your life because you never judged it publicly. And I think that we might discover at some age that we all believe, we speak a lot about corruption in Romania, but I never wanted to make a film about the social corruption that we see. This is for the press. The press speaks every day about corruption. What I wanted to do is to have some questions about a possible relationship between the social corruption and the moral compromise that you get used to do in your own life and without even noticing. I speak about a parent who is, I don't know, he survived up to this age, and you can't really survive in that country unless you make small compromises. This is the way things go. So I speak about a character who has this, if you want, in a way, naive and idealistic view about his children, that he could raise his daughter aside from all this. He wants to have it, I don't know, to deliver it to a free world which he imagines to be, I don't know, better than the world he lived in, without owning anything to nobody. But this is not this is not really possible. A child of 18 is a child that lived in a social society, who understood the way things work, and it's not easy to have such a simple question. So what I wanted to say is that maybe we should reconsider and double-check, if not our way of education, not to what we say to the children, but what we do, what they see us do, is not one of the reasons for which this corruption keeps on going. And somebody needs to break the circle at some point. And you can't really start by, I don't know, correcting the big things that don't depend on you. You need to correct the small things that depend on you. You need to have this strength at some point in your life to, I don't know, re-see the things that you did and make sure that all of them had, I don't know, the right decisions behind and motivations behind. Does this answer your question? I hope so.
Dès l'ouverture du film installe un sentiment.
Right at the beginning of the film, you have a sense of danger. You have this stone being thrown through the window. You don't know who's thrown it. So you place the spectator in a situation where one feels quite anxious right from the very first instant in the film. Yes, in the film, it's not easy to talk about feelings. So you need to find little external events. For me, it was important to show someone who feels guilty, who feels anxious. Anxiety is very present in Romanian society. There's widespread anxiety. So I found this little trick. When you sense that the things you've done in your life are not necessarily good, this haunts you all the time. So I felt it was important to show this anxiety in the film. I always try to answer questions in my films, of course. For example, there were lots of questions about 4 months, and here, likewise, there are many answers you can find in the film. When I make a film, I adopt the subjective attitude of the character. So if the character doesn't have the answers himself, I can't provide the answer because I want to respect the character and the character's viewpoint.
Bună ziua! România Liber, hotnews.ro, Iulia Blaga. I would like to know if there is any relationship between the fact that Romania has an amazing year in Cannes this year and small and big corruption in Romania. Thank you.
What's the question again? If there's a relationship between Romania... I don't know if I got the question right. If there's a relationship between Romania having 3 films in Cannes this year and the level of corruption in the country? I hope not. I mean, I don't know what kind of relationship you're asking about. We didn't have to bribe anybody to make these films, if this is what you're asking. I don't know. I think that there's always a level between... Yes.
You were talking about compromises in film. That was my question. I think you get it anyway.
I really didn't. I really didn't. I hope, I haven't seen the other films which are here, but I hope that we make some films that try to avoid compromise as much as possible on every levels. And I don't see a direct relationship. It's just that we are not being polite. And I hope that, this is why I said from the beginning that I hope that the film speaks also about Romania. It speaks about Romania, to be honest, but it speaks about much more than this. I hope that people who watch this film back home will start by thinking about themselves and will start making like, I don't know, asking some moral questions to themselves, not necessarily about what other people do. I think this is what cinema should encourage you to do. It should encourage you to take a moment from time to time and reanalyze what you do in connection with what you see that others do. It's very, very simple to comment about what other people do around you, but it's good to start with yourself if possible.
Moi, je voudrais demander
I would like to ask Marius and Sandra, Malina and Maria and Radis, how they viewed the characters and how it was working with Cristian.
Very interesting working with Cristian. I don't know what to say. It was at the beginning. It was weird. I didn't really understand why did we have to take so many takes. There were a lot of them, and then at the beginning I thought I was doing a very bad work, and I was frustrated. But after a few days, I understood that he's very meticulous, and he really wants to reach a level of vulnerability that is very hard to reach in a conventional way of filming.
When you say many takes, how many?
At least 30, I would say, for each scene.
Wow.
I don't know.
Just for you to try something else or to get to a certain state of emotion?
I would say to get to a certain state of emotion. Yes.
Yes. Malina?
Yes, the same for me. But I could add that I think he's very precise in what he asks from the actors, and that was very helpful because you don't feel any moment that you can do whatever you want. You are being very precisely directed towards something, even if you don't realize it. So it's like you have a safety net, you know. I trusted myself completely to him. And I am very grateful because he offered me my first experience in a movie, so it was great. Yes. And yes, the many takes were a shock at first, then you get used to it.
Peut-être que Cristian peut nous parler.
Maybe Cristian would like to talk to us about why he has so many takes.
Oui, pour commencer, on continue à tourner en plan séquence.
We shot each sequence in turn, and each take had to be excellent. It had to be perfect, because you can't change the pace of the film afterwards. Even if the takes seemed almost identical, they weren't for me. I vary the pace. Also, we make minor changes in the acting. I don't just repeat the takes. I talk with the actors between each take. We correct certain things. And when things are exactly as I want them, we may need 10 or 20 takes to reach that point. We have to wait for that moment in the cinema when you know exactly what you want and you reach just the right end result. The voice is right, the movement's right, everything's perfect. And when you get the best take, you know immediately that that is the best one. As Raresh said, I'm very meticulous. Even after it looks like things are perfect, I always take another take. Of course, we're here, and it's good to have a second take, because when you look at things during post-production, you may not view them exactly in the same manner. I ask my editor to be on the set with me, and he looks at the material, and then we do a little bit of editing while we're shooting. When we finish the editing, we can then project the film, not the film as you see it, but the film at that point in time, so we really know what we're doing. And it's quite good to do this all together.
try to speak French because I think it's closer than Romanian. So, Cristian, dans l'espoir
Cristian,
d'avoir à Bucarest d'en parler largement sur ce film.
you talk a lot about Bucharest in the film, and I'd like to ask you a short question. I noted that when Ivanov is lying on the bed, he has a handkerchief over his face. That reminds me of a very famous scene in a Romanian film. Is this intentional? Yes, it's a tribute to that other film director. Thank you. It's a reference that may be useful for many people. I'd like to talk again about the doctor. Could the doctor explain to us a bit more about these multiple takes? Because you're an actor who has a huge responsibility in the film. Having lots of takes, does that help or is it a difficulty?
It was a help and a difficulty. For the first time in my life, sometimes life offers you more than you expect. It's my case. This kind of experience with Cristian belongs to first-time experiences. First time on the school, first kiss, first job, first car, first time with Cristian, and first time with 40 or 45 takes. I learned a lot of things, and for the first time, I was worried, like Raresh, about my acting. In that moment, I don't know if it's necessary to be or not, but it was a very special way of work, and I'm very grateful to Cristian and to God and to every people which work through him.
Question.
Bonjour.
Thank you. Compliments. I cried so much that even looking at you, I feel like crying again. I come from Georgia. I have a question. In the press kit, I saw that the co-producers were Jean-Pierre and Luc Dardenne. They are well-known directors. What are they like as co-producers? Perhaps you could comment on that. We didn't talk much with the co-producers, in fact. I am a great admirer of the Dardenne brothers' films. When I was here with 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days, we got to know each other. And also, in Beyond the Hills, our French producer asked us whether we might be interested in working together. And I said, why not? If you have the Dardenne brothers as co-producers, it means they think you will have a pretty good, honest film. So we started working together on that film, and we continued to do so. We don't talk much together. It's mainly a technical matter. Sometimes I send them the script and ask if they have something to say. But we don't talk on a daily basis. But I show the film once it's ready, of course. When it comes to production and the Romanian cinema in Romania, has there been an improvement, or is it increasingly difficult? Are there fewer and fewer movie theaters? What is the current status of the Romanian cinema? The Romanian cinema is not in a very good state, of course. In terms of production, things are going fairly well. We have a film by a young director here, a first film. It's in the official selection, and that's a very good sign. I believe we have set up a system of financing which enables people to make low-budget films. But not just low-budget films, at least with financing, one is freer to do many things. As to the movie theaters, there are hardly any left that have a single screen, and we were no longer in the habit of seeing art house films, more complicated films in the country as a result. We have a lot of multiplexes now, but you go to a multiplex with your pals, you end up seeing the most popular film, and even if art house films are distributed in multiplexes, there isn't much of an audience. We need to educate young people. The distribution system doesn't work very well, and we need to continue to do what we started to do when I was shooting 4 months. You need to hire a little caravan and show the film in places where there are no movie theaters. In Romania, I wanted to present the film at the same time as this evening in Cannes. But we didn't find a movie theater in Bucharest. We didn't find a big movie theater to screen the film for the first time. So I rented the Communist Party room with about 3,000 or 4,000 seats, and we provided all the equipment. And I did that because, for me, the public is very important. Audiences count a lot. That's why I talk about Romania in my films. It's the country I know best. And I want audiences back home to have an opportunity to see my films. This is something that doesn't depend on me. Of course, I can do a lot. I can be very committed. I can try to change things. But it's easier to change a law than to build a movie theater and educate young people in Bucharest, for the sake of education, for example, it's good to have a festival that shows the films that are screened in Cannes. This is a way of providing film education. This evening, there will be a first screening in Romania at the same time as it's released elsewhere. There's a lot of piracy in Romania. A lot of people pirate the film because they want to see it right away. They don't want to have to wait for 6 months. So we wanted the film to be screened at the very same time as here, and I'm going to ask my pals if they had an opportunity to see the film. So I'd like to go back to the graduation and what triggered the film. Why did you want to say to children, while parents do everything they can to help them? Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't fully answer the question that was asked at the very beginning of the press conference. When you make a film, it's hard to say exactly where the idea came from. In the case of this film, there were two things. I'm a parent myself. I spend a lot of time thinking about what I should say to my children. I want to make films about the things that are most important for me at the time. It was clear for me that I wanted to make a film about children, parents, and how they communicate. Sometimes people think that it's enough to show a suitable truth to children. We live in an adult world, and we sort of create a different reality for our children. But that's not how things really are. If you want to properly educate your children, you have to be courageous enough to look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, I've made bad choices sometimes in my life. I have to live with that. I have to be honest with my children. I decided to make the film. What did I do? I read the press a lot. I look at news in articles in newspapers, and there are a lot of articles that talk about corruption in Romania. And also there are a lot of articles on education. One day, I saw there was a miscellaneous bit of news in the press, and I didn't know whether I should put this article in my folder on corruption or somewhere else. And then I thought maybe I should mix these two folders together, children and corruption, things that you should tell your children about, because I think there is a link in society between corruption, making compromises, and thinking about things. You have to be careful with what you say to your children. I wanted there to be different levels in the film. That's why I speak a lot with the actors. Of course, when you make a film, you're making a film with other human beings. It's not a criticism of society. This is not a film that talks about concepts. I often find the subject matter in real facts. I felt it was important to depict someone who feels a bit disappointed. There are times in life when you discover that it's too late to have new plans. What you've done is done. It's part of the past. And you may not have much energy left over, but you have to spare some energy for the children. Some people think that they can save their life through their children, but sometimes you have to give your children a lot of freedom. Sometimes you dream up very precise plans for your children, but that may not necessarily be the best thing. Iliana, Romania. I wanted to ask a question. I know you don't like passing judgment, but I do need an answer to the following question. For you, is there hope for this society? Because the end of the film is crushing. I make films to tell stories, and I try not to provide all the answers in the film. I was happy that Adrian said he was a very optimistic person. I'm not really very optimistic personally at this point in time. I think we've made a lot of progress, we've changed a lot of things, but in Romania, there's a huge amount of social anxiety and depression. And you wonder why? Where does this spring from? It springs from the fact that there are a lot of things that are as yet unresolved. We've made considerable progress if you compare the situation now and the situation in the past, but we can't wait for another 50 years to see whether we're on the right path or not. And for us, I think it's already too late. I think, of course, we've made the most important choices in our lives already, but for our children, it's not clear. Thank you for that very honest answer. I have another question. I deeply sense that you want this film to be viewed by the audience, by the public, as having a universal message to convey. I'm Romanian.
Est-ce que c'est si grave s'il est juste un tout petit peu plus roumain qu'universel?
Is it very serious if the film is more Romanian than universal? Once the film has been made and you present it to the public, you can't decide this because it's up to the public. The film will probably be viewed differently in Romania and in other countries. What's important for the spectator watching the film somewhere other than Romania, what's important is for the viewer to say, well, this couldn't happen only in Romania, it could happen elsewhere too. I believe that what we say to our children is a universal message. I'm talking about the fact that at a given point in your life, you have to reassess your life, yourself, and think about what you're going to say to your children, how you're going to bring them up, particularly if you've experienced some disappointments in life. Thank you very much.